All right, glad to have you back now. Nigeria's Export Promotion Council says not all products exported in the first half of this year were valued at $3.25 billion, an increase of 19.59% as against a sum of $2.69 billion recorded for the first half of the year 2024. Now, the volume also increased to 4.04 million metric tons compared to 3.83 million metric tons for the same period of 2024. My colleague Ulomoye Machi brought back this report.
From cocoa beans to fertilizer and cashew nuts, Nigeria's export basket is making waves globally. Between January and April 2025 alone, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council recorded exports valued at $3.225 billion, with the range of exported products rising from 202 in 2024 to 236 this year. The Council's Managing Director, Nonye Ayeni, says the surge is driven by strong international demand for Nigerian goods.
The significant increase in global demand for Nigerian products across the globe, including African countries, this increased the value of key Nigerian products and commodities such as cocoa, sesame, cashew. The growth in value-added products and exports improved earnings and more exporters imbibing the culture of value addition to their products.
Among the top 20 export companies, Indorama LMF Fertilizer and Chemical Limited, as well as Starlink Global and Ideal Limited, held on to the first and second place, with 11.92% and 8.82% respectively, while Dangote Fertilizer Limited came third with 6.39%. Nigeria also shipped 488 million metric tons of products worth $83.538 million to 21 African countries outside ECOWAS. Beyond the continent, the Netherlands topped the list of destinations for non-oil exports with 18.64%, followed by the United States at 8.42% and India at 8.36%.
It also lends credence to the fact that Nigeria, the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, holds the key to intra-African trade.
From building capacity to supporting MSMEs and shaping policies that boost trade, the NEPC says it remains committed to driving export growth and keeping Nigeria's goods in high demand worldwide. Ulomoye Machi, TVC News, Abuja.
All right, then I have with me a trade finance expert who is a lead consultant, 3T Impex Consulting, Dr. Bamidele Ayemi. Doc, it's good to see you today. Thank you so much, as always, for your time on the show.
Thank you for having me. How are you today?
Well, I'm great. Good news. From $2.69 billion in 2024, we're doing $3.225 billion for just non-oil exports, a push of about 19.59%. I see the smile already in your face. But how did we get here? What's playing out there?
All right. I mean, kudos to NEPC and the good work being done. I think effort being made, and we're seeing the results. Particularly, of course, there's still more work to be done, which I will talk about in the course of the conversation. But I mean, last year also, the major contributor were cocoa and fertilizer, and that's exactly also what we are seeing today. And Dangote coming on stream is contributing significantly to that. And then petrochemical, and of course, Starlink on the cocoa side because of the price of cocoa going up. Although it has come down a little, but cocoa is still a major contributor to non-oil export from Nigeria. Good news, at least, because we really need to ramp up the volume of non-oil exports. So hearing the kind of news from NEPC is it's sharing news, actually. Thank you.
Increased demand and growth in value-added products is something that comes to me also as a good one, because I'm one of those who's not advocating for moving just our products out of the country without adding a little bit of value to it. Seeing our goods on shelves everywhere across the world would definitely be my joy. So what do you make of the level of value addition and, of course, this increased demand that NEPC is talking about?
We are not there yet for value addition. Recently the Ministry of no, the Raw Material Research Agency actually proposed a bill. I don't know if it's Senate or House of Reps. One of them have passed the bill, and they're waiting for the second House. And the goal is to minimize export of raw materials to increase value addition. Even though I feel that's not a good way to go about it, I feel if government incentivize the businesses, they are going to do it because if they know government is supporting, because there are issues with power, there are still issues with infrastructure, a number of things affecting manufacturing and production. So trying to force people to add value might not be a good way to go. But I understand it's well intended, but we're not there yet for value addition. And for what you can see that apart from fertilizer, majority of the other products are predominantly raw material, with cocoa leading the way. We have cashew, we have sesame, and a number of other agro commodities. We are growing in value addition, no doubt, and even in diversification, according to NEPC, I think from 202 to about 236 different products. So we definitely have a new product coming up, but in terms of value addition, we're not doing enough yet.
Now, in that report, the ED of NEPC is talking about the AFCFTA, where she says that has facilitated more market access and, of course, broader market coverage for us as Nigerians. But there is still that argument that we are not there yet. This market is big, talking about billions, more than a billion population and GDP of, trillions of US dollars. Where do we go from here? How do we harness these opportunities, even considering some African countries that have their own internal challenges?
All right. I'm hearing a noise at the background. I don't know where that's coming from. Now,
but did you get my question?
Okay. Yes, I got your question.
All right, then.
AFCFTA, two things, like I've said before, two things are hindering the challenge of AFCFTA. Two things that are hindering the growth of AFCFTA, rather. One is payment, and that have been fixed. The second is infrastructure, particularly for movement of goods. So if Nigeria is going to maximize AFCFTA, we definitely must do something about it. I don't know what NEPC is doing about this. I know there's a Link project. Recently, we heard of a company that actually started, a vessel, operating a vessel that is supposed to traverse West, Central, and Southern Africa. We need that kind of initiative. And I think it would be good if government can really support. And this vessel in question, from what I heard, they are even overbooked, because it seems as if a lot of people are interested in that route. So it would be good if it's possible for the government to be able to support businesses to come up with vessels that will help to be able to transverse Central, West, and Central Africa to be able to move goods within this region. I believe that will help us to harness potential of AFCFTA. Recently, the minister actually launched a program, launched an initiative. And the initiative was launched with the objective of ensuring that people who are supposed to have shipped under the guided trade initiative are able to eventually ship their goods under AFCFTA. And that kind of initiative supporting movement of goods is necessary. Because it's by air, the volume of shipment is small. That's why we need support for vessel moving within the region, West and Central Africa, in order to deliver the goods to destination within the African continent. But no doubt, there is a huge opportunity on the continent. I mean, we have over 1 billion people. EU, with a population of half of that, is actually controlling about 1/3 of global trade. And the reason people are worried about what Trump is doing in the US, because we're not doing a lot within Africa, because we already have enough market in Africa such that whatever tariff we are getting in the US will not affect us significantly, because we have opportunity within the African continent.
Now, you said a lot still needs to be done. Just like you said, we are not there yet. We still have opportunities that we should take advantage of. So if we are to look at these opportunities and to expand this reach, for me, what are those things we need to start to look at very quickly?
Number one, we need to increase the number of exporters in Nigeria. I keep saying this every time. We need to increase the number of exporters. The businesses, apart from new businesses, which are few big businesses that can really help us increase the volume of export, not many of them are doing a lot of new investment that will increase the volume they do year on year. If you go and check, apart from Dangote that is coming up, if you go and check most of the major exporters, compare what they did a year before and now, maybe 10-15% increase. Not a very significant increase in the volume, if at all there is an increase. Now, what we need to do is to increase the number of exporters in Nigeria. When we are able to increase the number of businesses exporting, we will indirectly increase the volume of export. So the challenge of export readiness needs to be dealt with, and the government is something about that. Number two, we need to increase funding to that space. The last time I mentioned, and I'm not sure that has been done, the fact that Nexim is the major financier of non-oil export in Nigeria. And as at the last time, their board was not yet constituted. Why? Because of the political political appointment. There are statutory board members, but the people that will need to be appointed by government to join that have not been appointed. And that's a challenge. And that's limiting how much they can do, even though the head of the agency has found a way of creatively getting a way around that from the minister. But then they need more funding. More funding. How do we say we want to grow non-oil export? And I was at an event, and one of the experts was saying, how can the highest obligor limit, single obligor limit of Nexim to an exporter is 5 billion. If an exporter needs 30, 40, 50 billion, Nexim cannot give that kind of money. Why? Because they also have how much they have. I mean, they're looking at the capital they have and how much they need to give out, and the exposure they are limiting their exposure to individual per time. Now, they need more money. So CBN, who is a major shareholder in this organization, need to support with more funds from Nexim Bank. In addition, because of what is happening, the changing landscape of trade around the world, US is a major buyer of our product. US has increased our tariff to 15%. We need a new market. And if we are going to increase our risk appetite to new market with funding from banks and even from Nexim, we need export credit insurance. So that when people are going into new territory, they can be sure that even if there are issues, they are protected, so they can increase their risk appetite. So export credit insurance, increasing the funding fund available for Nexim to be able to increase the funding advance to exporter, and more importantly, like I said earlier, is to increase the number of exporters by helping businesses to become export ready.
Interesting stuff. This is also coming at a time where we are talking about the Nigeria First policy. I hope I know you're also aware of that. So my question really would be, are we able to satisfy home so very well? Yes, you're laughing at my question. Because yes, I know we need to export, we need to improve our foreign reserves, we need to get some more foreign exchange and all of that. But how do we balance both? You are an export doctor. Make us understand how we can balance both, so that even at home, we can have some of these resources before we take it out, which we also know is compulsory for us to do.
I believe in the genius of the and rather than the tyranny of the all. We should do local and export. We need forex. Our inflation is largely imported inflation because of the challenge of foreign exchange. The fact that we need to pay a lot of import bill, and we're going to pay at a very expensive rate because of the exchange rate. So we need to do both. So the federal government, thankfully, have approved over ₦1 trillion for the capitalization of BOA. Fantastic. Can we now decide on the area we want to focus on in terms of the agricultural commodity that will help us with the weightlifting of generating forex and produce them massively, and have that arrangement with rich nations like China to buy some of these commodities from us so that we can increase the volume of export we are doing. And a good product that can fit this bill is a product like soya beans, for example. So we must increase the volume of trade, and we need to satisfy local demand. So we should not sacrifice local demand for export. We need both of them. So in my opinion is, whatever we need to do to increase volume of production so that we can meet both demand, we need to do it at this time.
So we need to take advantage of both. That's what you're talking about. So let's do a projection. If it's not business as usual, things are done correctly, more exporters come into the market, what do you think will be the outlook for our non-oil market, particularly at this time where government's steady on diversifying?
Yeah, no, man. With what we've seen with this data, $3.2 billion.
Yes, please. Yes.
With time, if multiplied by time, so that's 6.4. That would be great because last year was about 5.2 or 5.4. That would be great. And quite frankly, I think we might be able to achieve that because, we are entering into the season. The agro commodity have been harvested. So last quarter of the year and first quarter of the year are typically a very good time for export, particularly of agro commodity, because that's when the season is coming. So I foresee a situation where we might be hitting about probably $6 to $7 billion this year. And by the way, it's also important to know that data is not the real figure. If you look at the other shipments that are not documented, at the end of the day, we're actually doing a lot more. But what is being reported is actually what is documented based on the NSP open from the government agency. So outlook for me is positive. That the fact that we might be able to hitting about $7 billion non-oil export this year, which I think would be a good news for the NEPC and for Nigeria, of course.
Export Dr. Bamidele Ayemi, board trade finance expert, lead consultant at 3T Impex Consulting. Always optimistic about the export sector. I like that. Thank you so much. It's good to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me, and bye-bye.
All right, enjoy the rest of your day. All right, then it gets to that point where we look at trading figures from the exchange.